Hey guys, really nice to meet you all. Very, very happy and honored to be here at the AI conference. My name is Meng Ru Kuok. I'm the founder of Caldecott Music Group, as well as the co-founder of BandLab Technologies, which some of you may have heard about, but we're going to be focusing on today, especially as we talk about AI. And so, super honored to be at this AI conference and speaking in front of you. We're the only music creation platform at this conference, so hopefully it's going to be some interesting information that we're going to share. Don't know how experienced you guys are with music. There have been a lot of advances in AI and music, and we have some exciting announcements to share today. So hopefully this will be not too boring and interesting, and hopefully a little bit of showbiz in between, right? So I'm not sure how familiar some of you guys are with BandLab, which is our flagship platform under BandLab Technologies. BandLab is a platform that I co-founded in 2015, and we launched into beta in 2015. The easiest way to think of BandLab is basically if TikTok is really just MTV in 2023, BandLab really is that next generation social network platform, social creation platform. It's kind of MySpace in 2023. I think a lot of people here will remember there was a time where there was something called MySpace, but really this amalgamation of a social network with everything you need to create music as well as to share your music all in one, but really for the next generation consumer. And if you think about BandLab and our vision of a future where there are no boundaries to making and sharing music, BandLab to GarageBand, which some of you guys may have heard of, is a bit more similar to the analogy between Google Docs and Microsoft Word, or Sheets to Excel, or Canva to Photoshop, or something like that. So I know we're an AI conference, and we're obviously, everyone here, the entire schedule is about AI, but we're really a music company for whom AI is a huge part of the power and some of the things that we're doing. And that's really, really important because everything we do is about creators first, and the boundaries we're breaking down to making and sharing music are really for creators. So you can see from some of the headlines, we are based in Singapore. Despite our biggest user base being in the US, we're very much that next generation cloud-based, mobile first, as well as now AI and Gen AI platform on top of PC, browser, and internet, and all those kinds of things. We were very grateful to be awarded Fast Company's #1 most innovative company in music in 2023. And also, 80% of our audience is using mobile versus web. 60%, 2/3 of our audience is actually under the age of 24. So really a young next generation audience. And despite us being headquartered in Singapore, our biggest audience is the USA by quite a long way, but still with a lot of people from incredibly, very large developing countries around the world. We're at an AI conference, but way before even the idea of AI and some of the considerations and implications for AI and music, you guys may have heard of GarageBand, which is available on iPhone, but depending on what stats you look at, 70 to 80% of the world uses Android. Outside of BandLab today, billions of people literally, before you touch even AI and Gen AI and the power of what that does to empower people, they don't have access to making music just because they can't afford an iPhone. And so, especially for a company like ours in Southeast Asia, we see that firsthand. We're lucky to be in Singapore, which is first world, but we see that really firsthand, the differences between how fortunate we are here versus in other places, and the empowerment that's really important and what's possible. So some of the headlines that are very exciting for us are the number of users that we have. We have more than 60 million registered users around the world, making tens of millions of songs a month on the platform, which if you think about the amount of music being made right now and released to Spotify and platforms like that around the world, it's only about 3 million plus a month right now in the global music industry. So much more is happening behind the scenes and bubbling up, and a lot of that is now actually cracking the Billboard charts in the top 100. Some of you guys may have heard of some of the artists. One very notable one who's playing 2 sellout shows this week in California, in Los Angeles. His name is David, a 17-year-old kid. He's 18 now, who today has 25 million monthly listeners on Spotify, 2 billion plays on his music, and he started making music a year ago just on his mobile phone. This is now good enough to make it to the Billboard charts and break the top 100. And yeah, this very, again, honored. This month, we are the cover of Billboard. And actually, there's a great feature in it on what's going on with BandLab and how we're cracking the top 100, and kids on phones, as opposed to being in studios or on desktop devices, are actually able to make charting hits and actually create label success. So AI in music actually is already pretty mainstream. There was a study that was done recently by Ditto Music that actually claimed, or the results from their survey was that 60% of their users actually already in some way use AI in their music. And I think, again, many of you will be very, very sophisticated, far more sophisticated than even I am personally on AI and ML and a deep learning foundation model space. But traditional ML and AL in the current AI and music landscape, the traditional stuff of what people have already been using, whether it's music recommendation, whether it's audio restoration, sound classification, for example, that's recording that and then recognizing that it's a snap, versus what's happening with some of the cutting edge stuff, deep learning and foundation models like GPT-X, the idea of Gen AI and Gen music, as well as some of the stuff that's really in the news, advanced vocal processing, tone transfer, sound like somebody, text to voice, or sound like somebody else. And so this is, when you think of everything and some of the challenges and what's really happening in this space, it's happening at an exponential level. Everything is getting bigger. The models are getting larger. The data that's being trained is getting bigger. Honestly, the ethical concerns are getting greater as well, right? So everything is amplifying at a level where I'm sure some of you here are here for your businesses. Some of you here are also thinking, what does this mean for me and my business? And what does this mean for what's going to happen on a human level, right? So when you think about, again, at a very, very simplistic level, that transition of what's happened before and what's happening now is this idea that, we were in a world of voice to text versus today we're in a world of text to voice, or even something you say could sound like someone completely different. And so this is really where everything is really starting to hit the headlines. You may have seen and be aware of some of these things, whether it's someone like Grimes launching AI software, allowing everybody to use her voice in songs, whether it's Drake and that being protected because somebody wrote a song and actually used Drake's voice in a tone transfer model to sound like it was Drake singing the song, or amazing TikTok video. If you haven't seen it, I recommend everyone check it out. David Guetta using Eminem's voice to actually use artificial intelligence to make it sound like Eminem was sampled in his song. He performed it live, which was pretty controversial for a major artist to use another major artist in an AI context. But really, what's quite interesting, a lot of the headlines recently, and I guess that's just a function of media and the recognizability of the people and the songs or even the things that are concerned, have been focused around voice transfer, which are, as I mentioned earlier, the advanced vocal processing, but really something that actually was a headline months ago, or maybe even a year ago. I think we were just chatting about it yesterday. I think it was about a year ago, really on the Gen AI space, and actually that's notably absent, despite that really being something that is, when you think about it, has real concerns and ethical concerns when it comes to what's actually possible, how it affects copyright, the idea that a musician could algorithmically, or a model could algorithmically generate every single possible melody and release it to public domain and destroy the idea of copyright. This is something which is real and actually pretty important. So what do we do as BandLab? Again, as I said, we're a music company. We don't just have a single feature. We're very much an amalgamation of many different things. One describes very often our feature set as kind of the G Suite of creation tools for music, everything being interconnected, as well as all the sharing aspects, like I gave the analogy of something like a MySpace. And so one of the key features that we actually launched back in March 2022, so nearly 15 months ago, is a tool called Songstarter. And Songstarter is an AI musical idea generator to power human creativity. I'll show you a demo in a second. I won't do it on stage myself, but we'll pick a much more talented musician to do so. And one of the biggest barriers, I don't know how many of you guys make music or have made music before or are creative in some way, whether it's writing presentations or writing letters or anything, one of the biggest barriers to creation, and again, a vision that we're trying to break down, is writer's block. And so our AI system can make more possibilities than there are atoms in the universe. And what's really interesting and like the real world impact is that for creators, a worry is not just writer's block, but some of the worries is also nowadays, I'm sure you guys saw the headline about Ed Sheeran getting sued for copyright infringement. And he was in an 8-year battle on one of the songs that he wrote with Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On. Whether you feel that there is some influence or not, that's debatable. But the point is, what's really interesting about the new possibilities that something like AI brings, especially in the Gen AI space, supporting underprivileged musicians who may not be able to fight an 8-year lawsuit with a very, very established estate, is that you could actually prove that it started from something and it wasn't from someone else's idea. And so when it comes to that theme of empowerment, which is really, really important for us with BandLab, some of the interesting statistics, new users on BandLab are actually 80% more likely to share their music if they start from SongStarter versus a traditional non-AI powered entry point. So a non-AI powered entry point may be I play a guitar and I'm recording and coming up with an idea myself versus, or writing and starting from notation, or picking a sample or loop from our libraries and starting from something like that. They're 80% more likely to be proud enough of their music to share it if they start from something AI powered. And that's very exciting to us because not everyone has the same starting point. Also, an interesting stat, we've seen 15x growth in the past 12 months of music created using our AI tools, and we're still, the 60% stat of Ditto music of people already using AI in some way in their music making. From our own statistics on our platform, there's still a lot of way to go. Despite the huge amount of content being made on BandLab, we're still just scratching the surface on how AI is going to power really the next generation of artists all around the world. So here's a really quick demo, and I hope it plays with warning to the sound guy.
BandLab Songwriter is a great way to use AI to generate new song ideas. This is what I started with. Once I loaded this project into BandLab, changed the BPM, added some new chords, recorded some vocals. I've been trying to make it easy on you, baby, hiding the shit that you don't need. Did a quick arrangement, and this is the final product. I've been trying to make it easy on you, baby, hiding the shit that you don't need. Trying to make sure that you don't see none of the problems are bullshit. I've been trying to make it easy on you, baby, hiding the shit that you don't need. Trying to make sure that you don't see none of the problems are bullshit.
So she's obviously incredibly talented, but you could see how she basically started with just clicking a button, generating a song idea, and then immediately got into actually still producing it further. And that gets into our core AI principles, which just, I think really important to share because again, in our vision of empowering musicians, there are three things that are very important to us, especially in the implications of AI in music. And part of the reason we're here at the conference is sharing partly what's exciting about it, but really also, some of our concerns. And I believe AI principles and legislation and some of these things are very, very important, things to consider because of where AI is not just technological innovation, but there are real, actual human ramifications. So for us, exalt the person, not the algorithm. For us, again, this idea that everybody starts on a different footing, whether you own an iPhone and have GarageBand or whether you don't, whether you're from the US or whether you're from a township in South Africa and don't have the same level of musical education or social economic status on what devices you can have, that's where AI can really empower people in something we're extremely excited by what BandLab is doing around the world. We're not vending machines, right? You're exalting the person. The algorithm is designed to help the person and the people and the artists, and what all our tools are built for human collaboration like you saw previously. It's not something where you click a button and you get a song. The idea is that we give you something. It's called SongStarter. It's not called SongFinisher, right? So traceability matters, know the source. I think this is even more important, again, as we think about the reality. We see this in other industries. Where is a diamond from? That actually matters. Where is this oil or where is this gas from? When it comes to music and some of the potential unlicensed use of training of AI models, traceability really matters. And this is a core thing that we're sort of very excited about at BandLab. Also because our platform, as sort of the Google Docs or the GitHub equivalent for music creation, because we're cloud first, mobile, cross-platform, actually a visibility of who did what and when. Our proprietary models are not just, it's not just a principle, like SongStarter was built by BandLab, with BandLab, for BandLab. And also, real music producers and creativity are involved in every step of the process. The interesting thing about music, which was partly Ed Sheeran's argument, and when he actually won the court case, he actually was there on stage with a guitar telling people, there are only X number of notes in the musical scale and only X number of musical scales. It is theoretically possible to exhaust every combination, and that's where real musicology or creativity can also be involved in creating and developing great AI models. And then finally, most importantly, protecting and supporting creator choice. For us, AI training on user data should be opt-in, not opt-out. We respect, we support and champion everybody's desires and what they do with their intellectual property. We think that Drake is completely fine to actually say, no, you can't use my voice in a tone transfer model until it's licensed. We think it's completely fine for Grimes to say, I want to be competitive and I want to let everybody use my voice and create, loads of Grimes out there in the world and an army of Grimes music. So, what you think is the right or wrong, I mean, that's really your call, right? So what will AI specifically mean for music? I think, this is as light an answer as you can get, but the short answer is a lot. The longer answer is it's complicated. And really, when it comes to music, and fundamentally when we think about the music world today, forget AI again, just the billions of people out there who don't have access to music making and all the emerging artists coming through and trying to come through. The issue isn't distribution anymore. The internet solved that a long time ago and famously had an issue with sharing and distribution as the MP3 and the WAV file became easier to transfer over the internet. Distribution is not the problem, differentiation is the problem. And so for us, it's hard enough for an existing artist today, if you put your music on Spotify, how do you make it out? You're not just competing with everybody in your existing peer group. You're competing with Ed Sheeran. You're competing with Taylor Swift. You're competing with Jay-Z. You're competing with Drake. You're competing with the Rolling Stones, U2, B.B. King, Charlie Christian, Beethoven, Bach, legends of this generation as well as every generation before. And for us, really importantly, and what we're concerned and extremely cautious about at BandLab is we want AI and the use of AI and technology in music to be a leg up and not a leg that stamps down on people, right? It's hard enough for someone to break through and empowering users around the world. We want that kid in a township in South Africa who all they have is just an Android mobile phone. We don't want him to be competing with a million virtual Drakes. One Drake is hard enough, let alone a million of them and every single legendary artist. With tone transfer models, for those of you who are more sophisticated, obviously tone transfer models are built on the idea that you have more data. And that's why you're hearing Eminem, Drake, Snoop Dogg, all the best artists in the world right now out there. They have a significant advantage on everybody else because they have more catalog out there in the world. So it's something we care so much about that today I'm super excited to announce that BandLab is actually proud to align with the Human Artistry campaign. So I'm not sure how many of you guys are familiar with what the Human Artistry campaign is, but it's an incredible coalition of 150 of the most notable and most prolific and organizations around the world representing notable artists and creatives from every country around the world and brought together by 7 core principles around their approach to music and AI. And part of the reason that we were comfortable and really excited when we got to know the campaign better was the idea that we felt in music and the things that we care about, despite us not representing, I would say, the superstars of today at BandLab, we represent hopefully the superstars of tomorrow. It really matters to us that the top of the funnel or the bottom of the pyramid, whichever the way you look at it, is aligned. And so really, by becoming the first music creation platform to support the Human Artistry campaign, we're emphasizing our commitment to ethical AI practices and ensuring that technology enriches the music industry and hopefully empowers new creators rather than making new barriers for them. And so in line with our very, very fundamental vision of a world in which there are no barriers to making and sharing music, that doesn't mean unlicensed usage and just do whatever you want and copyright is irrelevant. We believe that if somebody wants to license their music and protect it, and they're not being protected in some way or form by law, legislation, or companies or organizations, that is a barrier to you making music. And so this is really, really important for us and something that we feel that is foundationally important. We're excited to be at the forefront of this movement, and our hope is that together we can all forge a future that AI empowers musicians without compromising the essence of human artistry. So this is, something I'm excited to share today. And I know some of this has been a little bit negative about the risk and the fears of AI, but really, I can't stress AI is something that we are so excited about BandLab, and we really believe and this Gen AI moment is one of the massive step functions that is going to transform the music industry. If you think about the different times and different moments before in the music industry, the schedule of this conference is just unbelievable, right? But I think the impact of AI and Gen AI on every single industry, the unique thing about what's happening right now for us is it's happening all at the same time. Whether it's the Industrial Revolution or the internet and these moments, the Gen AI moment is happening all around. And I think this is something where the possibility for empowerment and what it's going to do is going to create massive step functions potentially in value creation. But really, we're excited that it's going to bring about a new generation of superstars. Some of the people that you see on that list, that's actually just 11 artists that we know of anecdotally on BandLab that through making music on their phones in the last 12 months, 12 to 18 months, have collectively about 43 million Spotify monthly listeners, 2 billion Spotify streams on just their top 5 songs on Spotify, and that's just 11 of them, and they're largely from the United States. Think about what's possible when you start to empower more people with or without AI, but we really believe that breaking down these barriers of education, social economic status, AI is going to be both a tool for doing that, but also not just for the new starters and the new people like, coming up through the woodwork, but really for the existing incumbents. Some of the push on traceability is really going to create that next value unlock in derivative content and the ability for people to actually create more revenue for the music and the licenses and the content that they already have as rights holders. So with that, I realize that I'm very much at my limit of time, and I just want to say thank you for everyone who's listened. I hope it's been interesting and really nice to meet all of you, and hope you guys have a great rest of the conference.